I was wondering what people were interested to talk about. Like, what were some of? Oh, I was uh, I was wondering what people were interested to talk about.
Thank you, Ryan, for the invitation. Get well soon, please. And well, it's very glad to me be here with this amazing group of people, my family, my Zcash family. Thank you. Uh, that was a great Zcon. I really enjoyed that. Squidward.
Thank you, Roosevelt. Yeah, I loved it. It was a great event. Um, I was just maybe wondering what were some of everyone's favorite events. Then we can kind of like find clips from some of them and check them out.
It's amazing. It's amazing that contest. I want to see who will win when we know the champions of that contest. And in WOBA, the leader, the ranking of Zcashers active members was on fire too. It's great. It's great to see the people more active with the events of Zcash.
Yeah, I think the total for the prize came to like 250 ZEC now, is it? So it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens, who who wins.
And well, this is the recap in English. I want to tell you that next Monday we have the recap in español in the Zcast channel at YouTube. You can join us, please, to talk in Spanish. You can practice your Spanish, please. The next Zcon will be in Spanish in Mexico.
Yes, that Zcon 6 happening. Is it early 2025?
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it. So yeah, the the sort of aim for this recap is to really communicate with the audience. What were some of everyone's favorite moments throughout the event? We're curious to know. Um,
It's correct.
unfortunately, I yeah.
We have in the audience, we have all the speakers. We have Elise, Paul, Josh. I want to hear another people. I want to hear Segmek. I want to hear Aura, Pio. What they think about the Zcon, your favorite moments.
Yeah, can I invite you guys to the stage? If you're willing to come up, I will. Don't know how to do this. Somehow invite you.
If don't want to speak, and write at the chat.
If you're
Okay.
willing.
Hey all, I'm outside, but just to talk briefly. I really like the Kurt talk um, because in the last Zcon we started saying about how the importance of being to have a balance between the policies and the private blockchains and private preserving protocols. And this one, remember for me also that we need to continue this balance and also to keep our ecosystem sustainable. So that's it. That was my favorite moment from this Zcon.
Thanks, Pierre. Yeah, that was actually a really good one. The regulatory and policy meeting, like the major takeaway. I think someone else said it in the chat at the same time as me, but the main takeaway that I got from it was, I guess Paul. Sorry, was it Peter van Valkenburg? Kind of saying that everyone in the space should be considering like talking to a lawyer about what they're doing. I find it kind of interesting that like Zcash already is very cognizant of the messaging that we're putting out there, right? Like I think it was mentioned that it was partly due to some of the messaging from the Samurai Wallet Twitter channels, or I don't know how they were communicating, but I guess the powers that be found that the way they were talking about their product was it had something to do with the reason like it was taken down. And so yeah, I thought it was really important that that's something that we should know as community members, is like to approach communication responsibly. That was something that I took away from it. um I think we do have Paul with us. I don't know how to invite him to the stage, but if you're willing to speak on that session, please do come up.
James, Yogi, Dan, you can share with us your what you think about this Zcon. Your favorite moments. My favorite moments was some of them, or my first Zcash. I have I was waiting for my first Zcash. I really proud of ZconV thing. Okay. I really love the conversation about wallets. It was very impressive to me. I have very moments. I want to know the moments of the other people here. Please share with us. In the
And
chat, in the chat, my first cash ever.
I thought the wallet landscape presentation was pretty interesting as well. Hearing the very differing approaches that each of those developers were kind of taking. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it's correct. It's very interesting. The name of that conference, the landscape. I really think that is right now in 2024 we have a landscape. In the past years, okay, we remember Segwallet, okay, but now we have a really landscape, and with a landscape, I think that we have a big responsibility to share all the wallets, the functionality, the features, and it's a lot of work for the SecHub, and all the community. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really important, and like we can talk about Zcash in like an abstract way. I was thinking about this today, but what it really truly comes down to is people making transactions on Zcash wallets, right? That's what the whole thing is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let
Yeah,
me
so
chime in
yeah,
here. Hey, everybody. Well, about the landscape, the title of the talk is I want to give credit to the CF, the ZconV organizers, because even though I had the honor of being the chair and the moderator among these like super important speakers, it was an idea from the organizers of ZconV, which I just happened to you know ping the people, and everybody jumped in in like less than 24 hours. Like everybody was like in jumping into this ship and being super responsive to make that panel possible. So it's it was a lot of work from the foundation people, from the organizers, and from the panelists themselves that were, uh, flexible enough, because we were spread across the world, and the world is round and has a lot of time zones. So I hope that I like and I love that you have enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thanks, Paco. I think the same. People may think that this Zcon was virtual. Oh, it's easy to Danica, Dan, all the team. Oh, it's very easy. I think that they make a great job. This was a really huge logistic. The communication, the streaming is very complicated sometimes, and I want to congratulate. I want to read the chat. Yogi says that I love learning more about regulation. Regulation is important thing in this moment. I think the people need to know more about regulation. Paul say very important things about. I really recommend to look about his podcast. It's a very important theme about Square.
Yeah, regulation was one of the most important talks that I think we had during this Zcon. It still kind of feels that like we're in an unsure, like in terms of regulation. Yeah, please do jump in. I don't know how to bring you up though, Paul.
The pool at the chat, Squirrel.
I can't unmute. I don't know how to bring Paul up. 1 second.
Dismat says that I still need time to watch everything. That is a very a lot of conference. Triple U. I want to play with the Zenit. The same. I think the same. Zenit was a very interesting stuff to me. I didn't know nothing about, and I think that is a good wallet to geeks, to curious people. I think. Noam, tons of great content this year.
Hey everybody, I think I'm on now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for organizing this recap. It was a really good week. I enjoyed it, loved all the sessions. So interesting, and learning about all the wallets and everything. I just found it outstanding. Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that everybody's so focused and interested in the regulatory environment, the policy and regulatory environment. It's been especially tricky lately, and I think that discussion with the group there, where we had all four of us together, it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed kind of chairing and facilitating that group. So happy to give any additional insights here if there's any questions.
Thanks, Paul. Let's check the chat. Danica is a star. Regulation by enforcement. Day 2 was huge. Really, I think the same.
Paul, do you have any thoughts on how the compliance features that John proposed might help with regulations or might help with favorable policy regarding private cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, I think John is being very prudent and making sure that as he's implementing the ZSAs and making sure that all the capabilities for compliance and regulatory compliance are there. It's not something that you can take lightly. You have to take it very seriously. And as he noted, if ZSAs are implemented and we could have a stable coin on the Zcash protocol, that would be a first ever. It would be really a significant thing. And it would almost certainly get a ton of regulatory scrutiny. And we just have to be careful if we're going to go down that path. So I really appreciate the fact that he's focused on it. I know he's got good counsel. I've talked to people that are working with him that I know are super smart in the space. So yeah, I understand that for some people it might not be so comfortable for us to have to go down that path, but it's required. I really do think so.
I think the best quote from the entire event was J.W. Verrett when he said, like, from Band of Brothers, we're paratroopers, we're supposed to be surrounded.
That was pretty cool for sure.
I have some question for Paul or Arya. Do you follow the regulation in Latin America? Here we have people from Brazil and from Venezuela, Argentina too. What do you think about the regulation in these countries?
Yeah, I really don't, to be honest with you. So I really couldn't speak to it. I have my hands full with what I'm trying to do here in DC and in the US, trying to just keep track of that environment, and a little bit in the EU. But I'd love to hear if anybody has any updates on that.
I think that Paco knows very, very well the situation in Argentina. Here in Venezuela is very difficult to talk about, but it's an interesting thing talk the regulation in Latin America, I think. Paco, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can be brief, I say that the particular situation in Latin America to have in consideration in terms of like regulatory strategy is the most prominent financial institutions, like world financial institutions that have a lot of influence in Latin America. I think the first one would be the IMF. In one way or yeah, you know, besides Argentina, that we are always like with the water above the neck with the IMF, and we're super at the moment super controlled by them and overseen. Then the rest of the countries do have some level of debt with that institution as well, and also like the World Bank and all other like financial development institutions that loan money to the different states, and they have a strong branches into the political system of each of the countries. So a good way to steer the conversation about regulation around crypto and crypto assets, as the IMF likes to call everything crypto, is to actually talking with those institutions and instead of maybe focusing that much in each country political structure, because unfortunately, and I say this really, really sadly and with a lot of sorrow, is that our countries are controlled by this huge financial institutions like the IMF. So I don't know, like Venezuela in what extent, but like or Brazil, but then the rest of the countries are actually very influenced by the technicians and the delegates of the IMF in every country. So I would aim to discuss policy and regulation with those institutions first, because unfortunately and sadly they do have a lot of influence there, and the IMF doesn't like crypto at all. At least that's what they say publicly. So I will aim there first. And also, I don't know, I will vouch for countries to start mining and staking cryptocurrencies into the central banks to actually have a lot of assets there. that are not like reliant on the US dollar, so that you cannot, break ties with those financial institutions that somehow control our financial system as well.
Thanks, Paco. Dan, you want to say something? Well, here in Venezuela, in this moment, we don't have head. We don't have never an regulatory. Sunacrip is the department of that, and in this moment it's closed. In this moment, we have a blackout about crypto regulation in Venezuela. We here only talk about elections in the next month. As we have to wait about is the situation here.
I'm pretty curious about the is it called the Petro, like a digital currency for Venezuela?
Yeah, it's complicated, but we always, when we talk about, we always talk about education too, in the same, because it's very important. Even we don't have head, we don't have regulation about. People have curiosity. People ask, and when we are always are doing workshops or initiatives to spread the word about Zcash or other cryptocurrencies. We have to continue to talk with the people.
I thought I heard that the Petro was discontinued, or that project ended. Last I heard.
The Petro is dead.
And you kind of see that a lot. Like a lot of these central bank digital currencies launch, and they just don't get adoption or use. Like I think it's called DCEP, the one in China. People like are pretty reticent to use it, and the e-naira also isn't getting much use. So I don't know where that's headed, but thanks for joining, Josh.
Let's talk about the future. The future. I really love the Sure conference. Tatiana is here. Let me check. Use Zcash. I think that is Tatiana. Tatiana talked very interesting numbers about adoption. Maybe we think, oh, that is the truth. What do you think about, guys? What do you think, Squirrel? Someone wants to say something about the numbers that Tatiana shared to us. Very interesting numbers. Hello, Tatiana.
Oh, wait. I think let me invite her to the stage. Hold on. Welcome.
Welcome, Tatiana.
Hey everyone.
Hey. Yeah, could you like describe? I think I got a bit lost during your presentation. You kind of split your respondents into different categories. Could you kind of just go over that once more?
Could you clarify a little bit? Because I split them into all kinds of categories.
Exactly.
Are you talking about users who transact, holders that transact versus holders that don't transact? Because that's
Yes.
probably the main one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there was like people who transact are more likely to recommend using Zcash.
Oh yeah. So holders who transact in ZAC are far more likely to recommend Zcash as a whole, which means holding and transacting in ZAC, than people who don't, than holders that don't transact. So yeah, it is true.
Pretty interesting.
Squirrel, Tatiana talk about cab drivers, cookies, Sheila, the adoption here in Venezuela and other countries. The conversations with Tatiana are very interesting to discover new frontiers of mass adoption. That's the challenge, Tatiana, right?
Yeah, and I think her conclusion that was like made a big impact was that if we don't understand the needs of the current Zcash users, there is no way that um, like with mass adoption that we would ever do it right. So it's most important to understand what current Zcash users kind of want and need, and then we can move from there. That's kind of what I took from it. Is that right, Tatiana?
Yeah, that's absolutely it. Mass adoption is just such a big phrase. Nobody really knows how to get there. It's like, yeah, every project wants to achieve mass adoption, but it's a process, and there are some smaller steps that need to be taken. And early adopters are that, like, you have to have a usable product. So yeah, it's not a step that you can skip. Like, you can't build something that people want without asking them what they want. And it's scary to think about all the little things that go into such large goals, but we just have to do it, and we have the resources to do it. Like, this incredible community is volunteering so much information. Like, in any other in a regular company, you have to pay for this kind of research. And here people are just stepping up and spending so much time, investing so much time. I've never seen anything like this. So it's a really, I can't stress this enough, like how important this community will be to the adoption of ZEC. So it's and Zcash in general. So yeah.
Cheers. One of the big items that I was hoping for in the Zcash wallet landscape was zip 321. But so far, I think like Zashi is doing like a bunch of things. I actually researched, well, not researched. I went onto the website for Radom crypto purchases, the gift card thing, and it was like stunning. So I'm really looking forward to that, Josh. Is there anything else you think can go into Zashi? I know you talked about like a possible Zashi Pro. Like, what are we thinking in terms of features for Zashi? Oh, we've got Chris and Paku.
Hey. Yeah, so for Zashi, again, the intention is to build a full stack user experience. So what we mean is that people are able to easily access, have access to, and use Zcash in ways that make sense for them in their context. And that's all kind of available through an interface, right? That's all available through a wallet without them having to think too much. So there's things that we want to put in the basic version in terms of onboarding and making gift card purchases and things like that, where we've heard a lot from users that they just, that they want that ability to have additional utility in the wallet. And then we hear from some users who are like, we want to have all kinds of power to tweak things, and we want to store things in hardware devices, and we want to make sure with Zashi, with the version that we have out there now, that it's really super easy to onboard and use and share with a friend, and so that they can come in and they don't have to think about it. It just kind of removes a lot of complexity. But then the people that want to have all kinds of bells and whistles in order to have greater control, that maybe that's more appropriate for a pro product, so that you can kind of migrate. With kind of back and forth in terms of a pro product or whether that's called a vault or something like that. But that's something we'll explore more in July at our next planning.
Ah, so that's what the pro is. It's the that vault thing that you posted.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Whilst we've got, sorry, Chris.
I just wanted to sort of riff on that a little bit. So, I think that there's just a tremendous space of available applications that get based on the Zcash chain, and the access to all of that functionality is going to be through wallets. And so, the sort of Zashi Pro split seems like a really good starting point because, Pro offers a bunch of if Pro offers a bunch of features that are not available in the base Zashi, then it's a platform where you can start getting functionality out there. But I think that thinking about the capabilities that we can offer in terms of either a proliferation of wallets or, I don't know, like maybe in a pro version of Zashi at some point in the future, or a pro version of some wallet, you could actually have pluggability where you can install chain-based applications to further extend the functionality, just because there's so much that you can do with the Zcash chain, with memos, with ZSAs coming up with atomic swaps, that you're not going to be able to really contain that in a single product, but maybe you can contain that within something that allows extensibility and allows just third parties to say, hey, I have this idea for this protocol that I can implement and bring it online. And that's ultimately with if we eventually get to shielded programmability, then you've got to have something along those lines.
If I may, I have like kind of a product request for Saji. Like, one thing that always happens to me is that when we talk about how gift cards are great to purchase stuff using crypto, one thing happens to me all the time is like I have the privilege of like kind of like being opt in to privacy into some like day-to-day purchases. So it happens to me that when it was like recently in the US, like visiting friends and family, I saw a lot of stores that I could actually purchase with gift cards, and then like I always like figure it out after the fact. So it was like I left the store. As you cross the door, you are reminded of something. Like your subconscious tells you something you were forgetting about. So I crossed the door out, outside the store, and say, "Oh, I could have purchased the gift card for this." So I guess that gift cards are awesome, and what we could aim to is that we could have some sort of relay system that also serves to people like me who like forget about stuff all the time, and that they would have really loved to use a gift card, but they didn't plan to, or they didn't have like the mindfulness to be on a plan to purchase something. So I guess that will take it to a whole different level, because if we could like integrate something that is more seamless to use Zec, it will like be a super option. Maybe that is a little bit private than gift cards, but it's still private enough that it's convenient and useful and private.
Hey, Paku, isn't that kind of what Flexa does? Like Flexa integrates with existing gift card systems, but you can pay from your crypto balance.
Oh yeah, that could definitely be something like that as well, or maybe like instant. It could be like instant credit cards that you can issue, something like that, for stores that maybe flex size something like a little bit too US based, or but yeah, totally. It happens to me that that I'm not really good at planning those kind of things, so I like end up like acting in the heat of the moment, and maybe I miss a lot of opportunities of being more intelligent about my financial privacy.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Gift cards are kind of like the when someone like gives you a gift card for Christmas and you don't use it for 4 months, kind of that. It takes planning. So we did. I'm not sure if Gnome Chom is still here. Unfortunately, I missed that entire like dev fund discussion. I don't know if anyone can come up and summarize what happened for me. Would love to hear that.
I mean, I could summarize, but I'd actually prefer not to. Like, as a
Okay.
participant, you know, you get caught in the mix of everything going on, and so it'd be great to hear from somebody that wasn't on that panel, what their thoughts or takeaways were from it.
Welcome, Noam. You want to share something?
I think you may have stepped away. Let me check the. Does anyone want to come on stage? Just let me know in the chat, and I'll bring you up. But yeah, I guess for the moment, I would like to give a. Okay, we've got one hand up. From somewhere, Paku.
Squirrel, the Defon speech was very interesting too. It's a topic that some people was talking in the Zcash community in Espanol and in the forum. That is a hot topic.
Right. And a very
I,
important one.
yeah.
Yeah, I was not a panelist, so maybe I can. I'm not sure I can be really like be synthetic about it. But first, I wanted to publicly congratulate Noam Chom for like stepping up, because uh, it takes a lot of courage to be sort of an anom and like stepping up in the conference. I know that the other people that had proposals were offered to be in the panel and they declined. So I think that I just wanted to say thank you, Noam Chom, for stepping up, being another voice in the community, and like stepping up for your proposal and defend it and talk about it. So that being said, I think that the debt fund panel was interesting in terms of like we could see that there are many proposals in terms of how to continue with funding, and that the idea of no debt fund apparently, as I see it, has like lost strength. Like many people that were reluctant to have a debt fund started to think about, hey, no, maybe the problem was not the debt fund, the problem was how it was implemented, and I think that we should implement it in this other way. Accountability was one. I think that one of the themes of the panel was like that how to make the debt fund not be a blank check. It was a lot discussed about who the recipients should be, how the governance would actually steer the funds and the different objectives along the the time, the years and months of the debt funds, how the debt fund itself should be like used and all, and I think that one key thing that I could learn in the panel was that there is a growing consensus about funding being important, and that something has to be done about it, that it cannot be left to coincidence, chance, or generosity from random contributors, but the protocol needs to be funded somehow that lets everybody know that there's some stability in terms of the funding stream for the contributors, not in terms of revenue, but in terms of like resources.
And yeah, in terms of like finding where community consensus is on some of these important topics, I think as it related to ZSF, Jason McGee kind of proposed that maybe it'd be good, or I think he was willing to like go to all the different communities like Zcash Brazil, Zcash Espanol, ZCub, perhaps the forum, Zcap, and create polls on each of these places and kind of get their opinion on ZSF. How do we find consensus on the dev fund thing? Like, how do we choose? How do we know what the community wants?
I think polls is the way. Is the better way. The forum is the center of the community, and that's always we always at the community in Espanol says the people read the forum, be active, read all the news, because it's very important. I think the forum is the center, is the heart.
Yeah, troll central.
That's it. Yeah.
Can I bring Elise up? I would very much like to talk about my first Zcash, and it's the first time I've seen it today, and it's amazing. It's I'm in shock of how. Can you guys see the screen, by the way?
Yeah, my first Zcash.
This is incredible. Okay, let me invite you on. Hold on. Okay, welcome, Elise.
Oh, now can you hear me?
Yep.
Welcome,
All
Elise.
right. Hey, everybody. Happy ZconV. This was really an amazing conference, I thought. I just am so impressed just across the whole ecosystem. I was going to say I'm so impressed with the organizers of the conference. That's true. I'm so impressed with all of the people that poured their love into this book. Isn't it just gorgeous? I'm seeing all of the the different comments, and I see that some people are raising issues out on GitHub, and we'll have a whole process for addressing improvements. But I just love to see everybody excited about this book. So there are so many people that got involved when I put out the call to put this book together. And if you look at the acknowledgments, that is just a snapshot of some of the major contributors to this book. Some of those people are here today, on this call. Some of them aren't. But I'm really excited that we have this as a baseline now. We have a starting point for what we can do next. So if we feel like, hey, we need a chapter on regulation, or we need to, improve or lengthen a chapter to add in some additional subject matter, we can do that. We can do whatever we want. And I hope this will really be utilized to the fullest extent possible. Paku introduced the idea at one time about printing this, getting it into university syllabi so that a professor could put it on the syllabus. Maybe the library would then stock some of these. I can see, big and small ways that we can make this book useful, high school setting, university settings, your own communities, worldwide, translated, print copy, e-version, this flip book. I think the possibilities are endless. And I just have this huge list of volunteers waiting to participate in version 2. And I'd like to get everyone involved. So if you're interested, jump onto the My First Zcash room here, into that room, and fill out the the interest form. Oh yeah, thanks a lot for posting that, Josh. The GitHub version has just the static PDF, and then this flip book allows you to do what Squirrel's doing here, take a look through all the different pages. And Squirrel, I got to tell you, one of my absolute favorite parts of this book is actually at the very back. I want you to check out the glossary that Triple U put together for us. Yeah, this thing is just gorgeous. Um, so he volunteered, John volunteered and said, hey, I can help you with that element. And I thought, okay, sure, that'd be fantastic. But if you know him, his version of, hey, I'll just, I'll work on that and do the best I can is like my version of something that I would have worked on for weeks. It's really a spectacular compilation of every term related to Zcash. And I see John's typing. I hope he's, yeah. um, I hope you guys give him a shout out when you talk to him privately or directly. He put a lot of work into that. I have to say that the hero of this project, and there were many heroes, but the true hero of this project is Minnie. She has poured her heart and soul into the design work. And the design elements that we had to begin with were based on 2 very generous donations. One from Electric Coin Company, which was the zero collateral, Zero herself, and then all of the graphics that went with that that entire collection. And then also a donation of the Cypherpunk Zero NFTs, not the NFTs themselves, but the ability to utilize them as images in the book. And that was a donation from Zcash Foundation. I really love how this book is bringing together both of the main organizations. They're contributing, people from all around the world, 5 different continents. They're contributing. I feel like this project is where all the love lives, because there's nothing contentious about education. So I feel like I kind of lucked out that I could be part of this project. And I don't know, I would love to see Minnie come up here and tell us about all of the hard work that she did on the graphic design for this book.
Hey guys,
Elise,
a little bit emotional now.
Elise, I have a question. That's
We live far away from each other, but now we've become friends because we've spent every waking moment together.
Oh my.
Congratulations, Elise. That a definitive edition, or is only a preview for the community?
Oh, I kind of put you on the spot, Minnie. I'm real sorry.
Can you hear me?
Well, maybe we should. Maybe do you want me to? We'll give you a minute to just. You can let me know if you. Maybe this isn't the right moment. Um, I guess I'll say that the flipbook, the service that I purchased to host that flipbook on, it shows me how many people have looked at the flipbook. It doesn't give me any analytics or anything, but it just says like number of hits essentially. And I wish I could show you that in real time. It's super fun. I'm just sitting here, and while this meeting's been going on, I've seen the number just every minute or so ticks up. So it's really exciting to see all of the interest. Um, so I'd be interested in hearing any suggestions that you have. Um, is there anything that jumps out at you right away? Like, what do you love? What do you not love about this book?
I think I'm really looking forward to like finding out if this could be used as like a curriculum for like putting something together for maybe the Zcash Global Ambassadors, something that they could use to take to their like local events,
Mhm.
and it's all here. They don't need to like they could just like maybe select chapters to pull out and present. I think it could work really well.
Yeah, that was the intention, that this is a self-driving educational tool, right? Each chapter has content, it has an exercise or multiple exercises, depending on the chapter, that go along with the content. And then as you move into chapter 5, where you start learning about Zcash, the goal here is trying to really start using Zcash. And by the end of the book, you have used Zcash by, the exercises ask you to complete this exercise and then, get a small bit of Zec. And then by the end of the book, thanks to Decentralist Dan, shout out to him for this idea. By the end of the book, you've earned your first Zcash. So if you follow the book from beginning to end, that's the intention. That part's still needs a little smoothing out. But you can see there are exercises there. I'll mention that chapters 1, 2, and 3 are content that came from Me Primera Bitcoin, and I did give them an acknowledgement under the Creative Commons section at the beginning of the book. I kind of had an opportunity to meet with Dahlia. She's the one who wrote Me Primera Bitcoin, which is now being delivered all across El Salvador. It's their official school curriculum. It's part of their official school curriculum now. And she loves that we're utilizing this content. And it's a beautiful, well thought out explanation of what is money. What is fiat, what is money, the history of money, what's wrong with it, and then it leads nicely into where we are today. We of course have our own angle because we're Zcashers, we're not Bitcoiners. And so you'll notice that then in chapter 4, it's the intro to Zcash, and that's a shout out, intro to Zcash, to you, Squirrel, and to Chris Tomeo for teaming up and kind of letting me strong arm you into putting the content for that chapter together. It's a really important chapter, right? It's the jumping off point for chapters 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and 7 were written by, I might be one chapter off. 6, 7, and 8 were written by, experts here. So Paco, Alfredo, Merrick, those are chapters that were written from scratch about Zcash. They're beautiful. So take a look at those. And then I was really excited to get a high schooler involved, and she's all enthusiastic about her club, and so I think it's great, and they're all following along with the conference at high school during their lunch hour. They're watching the videos, and I think that's the future of Zcash, right? So I'm real excited about this. And I'm very open to suggestions. We can take this in any direction that we want from here. I kind of mapped out a plan for version 2, 3, 4, getting those translations out into the world, and then utilizing those, creating some kind of a guideline for how to take those into your community, how to take those into your high school or your classroom. So the sky's the limit, I think, now that we have the baseline content. Is a print version available? Oh, yeah. That's a great question, Paul. The idea here is this is version 1, which has a lot of room for improvement, right? Because we want to make sure that we had a finished product ready for ZconV. That was my dream 56 days ago. And yes, we do. From here, then, we'll work on version 2, which is how can we take this and make it print ready? The layout was all done in InDesign by Minnie and Geffen and many other people, Zero Darts. I'm Yogi. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone because I'm a little I'm sick and I'm also a little nervous here. So I might be forgetting someone, but everything is on InDesign, which means from day one, it was built for print. So at the end of version 2, we are absolutely going to be able to print this. There are a lot of, self-published publishing ideas or, outlets where we can do that. We have a few in mind. I'd like to, my background is working, with universities and publishing houses. So I'd like to see a university press pick it up. Oh, nice. Okay. I'd like to make that happen for you, Paul. Oh, nice. I like that idea, Yogi.
I just want a version for myself because it looks so good.
I like it. Well, Squirrel, you've been inspiring throughout the whole process. Your community leadership really, provided that light for me about how to take a big idea and take many participants and all go in the same direction, go together, and go far. I've really been inspired and also appreciative. I gave you a little shout out there in the book because you've done a lot to really mentor me along, and I appreciate it.
Oh, it's all good. Thank you. Yes, and Yogi as well. Cheers, guys. So, did we have any questions that anyone wanted to bring up?
No, I'm one to talk, Squirrel.
Yeah, let me mic test.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, this is my first time in Discord live, so
Welcome.
Scrambling through this. This is a lot more than what I'm used to. This is a small audience, but this is, I think, a good example of a situation where I just wanted to remind, I missed a little bit of the community talk and like, how do we know what consensus is about the dev fund and other things. But I just wanted to say, like, there's 28 folks here. Each of the 28 of you should already be in ZCAP. And if you're not, go get in the thread on the forum and self-nominate. We need to expand ZCAP. It's one of the most, I think, measurable and largest polling institutions for the foundation. So just a quick recommendation there. We need to grow a lot of different institutions for measuring consensus and things like that, but ZCAP is one of the things that we've got now.
Can I ask then? I can't exactly remember your proposal from the forum, exactly what it was, but I do almost remember Josh's, which would be to have like a grants pool, and that would maybe be like a Frost thing where different organizations all sign towards projects or organizations that they're willing to fund. I did also take from the policy and regulatory session that Peter van Valkenburg was he was kind of supporting the notion that Zcash should be led or at least have these US based non-profit organizations like the Zcash Foundation, and that they were actually very important for like for Zcash's like, so it wouldn't be shut down, right? Like there are certain rights that such an organization has. So is it still possible with Josh's like grants pool idea? Can that coexist with the Zcash Foundation as it exists today? I'd like an yeah, we've got Josh up here.
So to just chime in with my understanding is that the answer would be yes, but it would Josh's, I think, proposal hints at how future funds get distributed. So the Zcash Foundation would still have its assets and distribute and manage for the ZCG, but it may not necessarily be receiving new Zcash income streams from the protocol. Instead, that I think Josh is proposing a larger and not centrally managed fund. Right now it feels like that's what we've been calling the Zcash Sustainability Fund. When Josh joins us, I think he can probably clarify this or correct my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that's right. The Zcash Sustainability Fund, as it's being worked on today or designed, is different. So, in that fund, that's to essentially have a mechanism that allows for long-term, funding of fees, to make sure that there's adequate incentives and kind of take care of the problems that we have with Bitcoin, right? Which is eventually the issuance goes to zero. It doesn't mean Giga had suggested a modification that would be inclusive of this and a certain allocation of the funding to go into that. My proposal, there's two parts. The one part is that my proposal is actually this is too complicated to figure out, and like getting community consensus and all that kind of stuff is too complicated to figure out by June or July, which is when we need to have a decision in order to get it codified in the protocol ahead of a November timeline. So if we're saying we want to have something in place for November, then we got to make a decision within weeks, and there's, I think, still a lot of conversation to be had, and I think it's just too fast to do it. So the recommendation is to continue the existing dev fund as it is, with a mandate that then we would work on kind of a new model in the long term that's more decentralized and that drives accountability. The second part of that was an idea for how that might be done, and yes, it would use Frost in the center with the KVN multisig that could be fluid. So initially, it could be that maybe it's ZCG plus ZF plus ECC are the organizations that have keys, and maybe at some point, ZecHub comes in, or maybe there's coin holder voting as soon as that's ready, and that those could be added in over time to increase the community's voice and to do it more flexibly without the kind of time constraints of happenings and things like that. So that was a proposal that I put out there. I put it out there to get like arrows, right? So like, what's wrong with it and why is it better or worse? But again, like I think those conversations, need to happen without the time pressure of just a few weeks, to get there.
Agreed. Don't make important decisions under pressure, is it? Or something like that?
Right.
Well, just for clarifying, yeah.
Real quick, Josh, could you explain? I think some people in the community maybe think, oh, November is actually kind of far away. And then the couple weeks thing, or even if it's a month, can you just explain that timeline process as far as like why we would have to reach some sort of decision in order for it to make its way into the protocol by November?
Yeah, because it's a hard fork, right? So the any kind of changes that get implemented, depending on what the change is, like GGuys is a little bit more complicated. They have to get written into they have to be coded, tested, reviewed. It needs to get on testnet. It needs to go through an audit. So there's a whole, and then there's a time for activation where The activation height gets set. We know what the activation height would be in this case, but it gets set, and there's some weeks ahead of the actual activation of the hard fork, and the kind of the readiness of that. And so it's just a spacing based upon kind of the constraints of having to do a hard fork. We have to give it more time. So if we were November, we really need to have stuff locked in October, which means we need to have things, codified and up there, late July, early August. And these are kind of rough timelines. There's potentially some other minor things that would go into this network upgrade. We're arguing that ZSAs is too fast, and so that should be a kind of fast follow because it's still got to do auditing and that kind of thing. But maybe some smaller changes related to fees and memos and stuff like that also have to be reviewed and kind of up there. So that's kind of I hope that's clarifying in some way, but it's not just like get the code in and turn the switch and we're ready to go.
Exactly. Thank you. I think that clears it. I think some folks, might think it would be like that, just press a button, but it's certainly not.
I'll add here. I would have liked to have talked more details during the DEF Fund discussion, but the conversation stayed fairly high level. Part of why I proposed, I structured mine as just a minor change to the numbers that we all know today, and I suggested adding 2 organizations. I hoped that looked relatively simple compared to what we have now. G-Guy's ideas and suggestions I think are good, but like you mentioned, Josh, there's additional complexity that needs coded to make the network able to do what G-Guy is recommending, and that certainly would put a lot of pressure on getting it in. So
I have a question for you, Noam, relatedly, if that's cool, if I can do that here. One of the things that you had proposed that I struggled with, I struggled with a couple of things. One, which hopefully is clear, which is this kind of notion of direct funding from the chain for long chunks of time without an expectation of accountability. And being able to switch. The other is you wanted to codify new organizations, and the thing that I struggled with is why would you put new organizations in that haven't delivered anything yet? Like there's a promise that they might deliver something, might be great, but there's no history of delivery yet for some of those folks.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of I have a lot of belief that based on what Shielded Labs has brought to the table, which is paperwork, some research, they're leading some research efforts that would have substantial impact on the protocol in the future. Likewise with Kedit and the ZSA, direction. Those 2 organizations right now kind of look like the only ones that, to me, feel like they have a certain year or 2, if not 3, ahead of them with the ecosystem. And I think they're some of the only organizations that kind of are just engaged in protocol R&D. So they look like younger versions of the Electric Coin Company. That's why I cherry picked them and suggested direct funding. It would be a way to kind of offset grant funding that the ZCG would eventually spend on them, and instead just kind of fund directly. So
now Kedit, you had mentioned the kind of the marriage analog. So Kedit isn't pure Zcash, right? They're doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? They launched the stablecoin, Buckle, and some other things as well.
Yeah, they're all over the place. They have an impressive footprint in the ZK, sector.
Okay, just reading the comments. Trends recommends because it's difficult to discuss this dev fund topic in the forums. He would like to see community roundtables on X or other platforms, something like a town hall where we can make proposal and have open dialogue. Fully
Yeah.
support.
So a while ago, Jason McGee and I were hosting town halls. I think we did about 5 of them. That sort of fell off a little bit, but I can talk with Jason or anybody else who wants to help lead those, and I think that certainly would be helpful.
It would be great. I think it adds a lot of credibility if it's like ECC and ZF or potential recipients of kind of funding didn't drive those, right? So like if it's ZecHub, or although I know that like ZecHub relies on funding, but that there is like some kind of cross community collaborations organized by the community, like these kinds of conversations that you guys are doing here, which is awesome, is that I think it'd be great to do it that way.
Agreed.
Do we have a plan for the changes in infrastructure? So there is this there are new Light Wallet D server. There's a new provider. I've forgotten what they're called, but they use this zec.rocks domain. Is there a plan to like transfer the Zcash Block Explorer API, or sorry, the Zcash Block Explorer domain? Is there a Block Explorer that the Zcash community can own and use? I haven't kept up with the forum, but has anyone got plans or ideas for how we can?
So the Light Wallet D domain is still owned by the Nighthawk team, and as far as I know at the moment, we don't have clarity on that. Paku might have some thoughts here though.
Hey, just about to leave home, but yes, we do know that yeah, the domain thing is kind of like Dan said, those are up to Nighthawk to decide what to do with them. Formally, we have as we communicated in the forums, and we got communications from Nighthawk, is that we have we expect like to have service from then until May 30th. I know that their Emersonian might be putting up a Block Explorer, but it's kind of doing this, to scratch an itch or out of like generosity and commitment to the community. I know that there's someone, a professor that works with me, that wanted to put up some infrastructure and contribute on that front, because like we were teaching privacy coins in the university, and we had a lot of problems with the public infrastructure. So he decided to step up and start like being a contributor and maybe put up a grant for it. But still, like it's good to have many things, resources around. So I guess that what I would say is that don't refrain or wait for anyone to just put up a Block Explorer. If you can do so, if you want to do some experiment, you want to learn how to put up infrastructure into the clouds, just do it. And as far as for the domains, I guess that if the community asks Nighthawk, that I guess that they will have no problem on actually like donating the domains. I don't know. And that's kind of the situation right now. And let's see how it develops. I think that's super important that Zcash has a Block Explorer that can actually reflect all the features that Zcash has, and also like a testnet Block Explorer that runs the mainnet clone of testnet or whatever that is, like the main testnet. And then for CSAs, for example, it will be very important that we have a second testnet that actually supports CSAs, and it's totally not backwards compatible with the testnet that is kind of a testing mainnet. So it will be super important that we have like testing infrastructure that it's up to the purposes and the goals that we're trying to achieve. So get involved.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll try and figure out how to fork or clone the existing Zcash Block Explorer. But there is one feature, if someone is going to make one, to broadcast a transaction. That's a pretty cool feature for a Zcash Block Explorer. 3
Yeah, I guess
XBL
that
is
if you
really
have
good.
to follow up that feature, I guess that you should, if you're in the US, lawyer up, as the panelists said, because if your node broadcasts allows anyone to just broadcast a transaction, it's like you're a wallet or you're providing money transmission. I don't know. Just
Really?
I don't know. That's what I got from the panel from the legal. So I don't know what Paul might help us understand,
Well,
or Josh.
yeah, let me add to that, because we did we have an attorney. We have lots of attorneys, but one of our attorneys is the former acting director of FinCEN, which is the financial regulator that provides guidance. Actually, kind of and they oversee, or they kind of deal with international kind of money laundering cases and things like that. So there's a few things with Samurai that were mentioned. One is certainly the language that they used, even in jest, all across Twitter, in suggesting that there might be kind of nefarious activity on the protocol. So that was very bad. But also, there's an argument, and this will be debated in court, as to whether they're running infrastructure, because they're providing a service that help facilitate the mixing, the coin joins of Bitcoin. So the more infrastructure that you put out there, the more, if you're running infrastructure, then you should consult with an attorney about the risks. I don't know that it's not a lot of black and white, but there's risks. And so we've done the same thing. We said, okay, with Zashi, we want to have reliable services in order to be able to, to access the chain. And so do we outsource that? And I've, been talking to somebody potentially about outsourcing that capability and setting up servers and things like that. But, and while it may be okay, what you do is you increase the probability that you might be considered an enterprise. And if you're considered an enterprise that's helped facilitating these kinds of transactions, right now, FinCEN's guidance, independent of what's happening with the lawsuit in New York from that district attorney, if you're not custodying assets, technically from the FinCEN guidance as it exists today, you're okay. However, that didn't prove to be the case when this attorney decided to go out and make these charges. So you just have to be very, very careful and understand your risks. Again, our attorney isn't your attorney, so don't take any of this as legal advice, other than the only advice is, if you're going to run any infrastructure, talk to an attorney.
Thanks, Josh. So what if I was to run a node or an explorer on decentralized infrastructure? Because I deployed it, would I still be on the hook, or is it, once it's deployed, it's just running? Who knows?
Yeah. Again, I would talk to an attorney. I would say some of this is going to kind of get flushed out in court over time. Here's the problem, right? So the problem is you have guidance with somebody like FinCEN, and so you're saying, okay, like, I'm doing stuff completely legal within these guidance, and there's no issues. I'm not custodying assets. I'm not facilitating transactions. I'm totally cool. And then you have another regulator or other law enforcement say, we don't like that. We're going to go ahead and issue a lawsuit, and it may be complete regulatory overreach. They may be out of line. They may lose in court. But the fact is that you're going to court, that you do get arrested, right? And then they may lose, but it creates a chilling effect. So it's a strategy. It creates a chilling effect across the industry, saying, well, and that's why you see like everybody shutting down, Phoenix and Lightning facilitators and things like that, saying, well, we're just not going to do this anymore. We've consulted our attorneys. We're just not going to take the risk. So that's just that's the reality of the situation that we sit in today. You're going to be very careful about what it is that you're doing and deciding whether or not you want to run that infrastructure. And the reality is that even if you think you're outside of the reach of DOJ, U.S. Legal, you're not. They have very long arms. And as we saw with Samurai, right, one of the guys was in Spain or Portugal, I can't remember, and has been extradited or is being extradited. So it's very nerve-wracking for any of us that are kind of sitting in the seats that we're sitting in. We feel really great, I will say, with high confidence, without getting into details, because it's a private conversation with us and our attorneys. Like the work that Paul has done in Washington, D.C. to build bridges, we have a very, very, very positive reputation. We have spent a lot of time briefing everybody from the White House to the DOJ to FinCEN on what we're doing and how this stuff works. Paul has worked really hard to build bridges with staffers, and reality with US is that you got senators and congressmen, but the agendas and a lot of what they say actually comes through the staffers that do all the work. And so that network of people is really important. And Paul's been brilliant about building those connections. And so we have an outsized influence in DC based on our size and the size of our community. And we've got a really stellar reputation. So while these things are very scary and you need to consult your attorney, there's a lot of positives in DC around the project because of what we're doing and the manner in which we conduct ourselves online and in forums such as this. And so keep all the positive stuff rolling. It's really, really super helpful. And these stories that people mentioned, they were like inspired by these stories, like I am, about the real world use. The more that we can get those stories out there, the more it bolsters that the aggregate story that we're telling about the reason that we're building and supporting this technology.
Yeah, it's darkest before dawn, right? Did anyone else want to come up?
Apologies if this is not the forum for the question, Josh. It was nice to see some clearer description of how like the assets Starkware, Agoric have been looked into. Is there going to be at some point in time in the future where the transparency report will show like an estimate of the spend down of those assets versus dollars versus Zcash?
Yeah, like I'm happy to do that. We're completely transparent. So here's kind of the rough outline, and hopefully it's not too boring for everybody. So we have, we've the revenue comes in as dev fund, and the intention with the revenue from the dev fund is to be able to fund our operations. So it would be natural that we convert that to cash where we can. We have these other assets that have recently become available. I will say that ECC employees, by the way, ECC employees are required to take at least 2% of their compensation directly in Zec, but they can take up to 100% of their compensation. So we have employees that kind of have that whole range. So some take more and some take less, but it's up to the employee and kind of their personal situation. We also have something called, historically we've done our bonus structure. Rather than do like a traditional bonus structure, it's based upon you sticking around with the company, and the funds are released over time. Those show up as a liability in our books and then mark to market at the time that we pay those out to employees. That's 100% in Zec. So we have to sell some ZEC in order to cover tax obligation as part of that under U.S. law. But that's kind of the limit of the ZEC that we've been selling recently. So we've been holding a lot of ZEC and using other assets first. So we have a very lopsided balance sheet where we have, as of last month, we have a significant amount of Stark tokens. Those unlock over a period of time, over 3 years. So it's 1.67% per month for the first 12 months, and then that doubles for 2 and 3. So we have, we're only able to move that many coins. So it's based upon our ability to use that as our primary funding mechanism is based upon that coin price and liquidity in the market. The Stark tokens are pretty liquid, which is great. We also have some BLD tokens, which we've staked, and we use those. We've been selling those as well over time and moving off of selling ZEC. The BLD, the market for BLD tokens, because it's not as widely supported across exchanges, like Stark is on Kraken, for example, BLD is not, and we have to use an OTC.
Yeah, BLD is quite liquid.
Yeah, it's not very liquid. So our commitment and like not trying to, for all kinds of reasons, not trying to influence the price at all, is that we have a very structured mechanism in which we sell based upon volumes in the market, and what we can do without affecting, badly affecting the Agoric project or the chain, or taking the price, which wouldn't help any of us by just dumping our coins. So hopefully that's helpful, and I'm happy to, again,
that covers a lot. Yeah. So just because the transparency report shows the rough market value of those assets, and then so you said 1.67% unvests monthly. That's of the holdings that you have in Starkware.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of crank out some numbers from there just to get a feel for it, but the increased visibility there has been helpful. And the other thing is that it's like, I have a lot of respect, and I've seen, to my opinion, there's been a ton of belt tightening. The market has not been kind to Zcash lately, but it's great job, to keep the lights on and keep things moving in these conditions of the past couple of years. It looks great.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm going to drop from here, by the way. I've got to get back to my desk. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining.
What a great conversation. No, Squirrel. It's very interesting here, the leaders, here the community, and the chat is on fire too.
I know. We should do this more often.
True.
Gonna brainstorm over the weekend and put together a list of most active community members contributing to Dev Fund conversation. Thanks, Trends. Thank you. Deidre saying, this is really awesome to see. This is truly Zcash unified. Hey, it's happening. If you build it, they will come. Or something
So
like that.
I will point out, we're in the Global Lounge. We're in here every single Friday at about this same time. So we have a lot more people than we normally do. So I just want to shout out to folks that are in here. Everybody's welcome every Friday.
What do we normally do on Friday?
Mostly just hang out, but we can make them more focused on certain things.
And after, we have a special event, the final special event with Mr. Segmek. We have a lot of music, Squirrel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think Discord has DMCA, so we're going to hear some favorites.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, I wanted to bring the conversations back to my first ZEC. I just, there's a reason why I think there's so much engagement and it's not surprising for me at all to hear Elise talk about how people stepped forward to support this project. When I get the feedback from some of the parents, some of the Zcashers' parents, on how they use Zec to pay allowance to their kids, like when they talk about it, it becomes very clear there's something really special there, like this whole subject of educating children, but also in the process the parents are educating themselves as well. So I think this is super, like I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, and I would really I'm happy to see how the community is getting behind this project, because it's I agree with Elise, sky's the limit there. And my research confirms this. So I really look forward to what this project is going to do, and like I'm here to support it in any way I can. So I look forward to collaborating with you, Elise.
Cool. I can't believe there's crypto clubs in high schools now. That's like shocking to me. And financial literacy in general is like has never existed in schools, I don't think. So it's good to see Zcash is contributing in so many different areas. It's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, Zcashers are also parents, so it's again, it's something that kind of like cookies. Like we've all eaten cookies before, most of us anyway. Like you have to be a sociopath not to like cookies, even if you're like trying to watch your sugar. But with kids, like it's another thing that everybody can relate to. Every Zcasher, everybody who's in this industry or like investors, I could just see this project pulling in more people. So I'm super excited about this. I think it's just good things will come out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, folks. I changed devices. Yeah, I think that there is currently a lot of demand from the youth to be financial literate, and there's a lot of crap and psyops and a lot of trashy content for them, and fake influencers telling young people that you can be rich in a matter of months. At least here in Argentina, where the economic situation is really bad and families are struggling, the teenagers are trying to get money for the families, and they actually get into a lot of like betting schemes or like financial Ponzi schemes and fake academics, for fake academias where they can learn, quote unquote, to be brokers, quote unquote. With authentic and honest resources to financial literacy is really important, regardless the coin, regardless the asset, because there's a lot of, I'm sorry for the words, but it's not other word. There's a lot of crap that is being fed to teenagers over the different social medias, and that my first Zcash and books like that one really make a difference.
Yeah, I need to read through the workbook itself, but I'm sure it'll be really interesting. So, did anyone have any new topics that we can bring up? If anyone would like to come to the stage, I'm going to start inviting people. Hold on. And yeah, I'm not sure we still have this mad, but okay, we'll bring up Lowo. Welcome. He is the newest member of ZCub DAO, and I think he is a secret maxi as well. Is that right?
Correct, Squirrel.
Hey, how
Hello
you doing?
everyone. I'm doing fine. I just wanted to let everybody know. I had fun at Zcon 4, and I'm a founder of Leone DAO. The whole mission is to like spread financial literacy. That's why I wanted to come up and let it be known, because I was on the topic. I want to run like a validator on like secret and contribute like running a validator with Zcash as well, and use like the funds, the whole dollar, everything will be based off of like spreading financial literacy throughout the community and everywhere. Like with the book, I think it'll be great that we get some people in every region to like form like a group or something and just go around and just spread the word through like different school, like mostly public schools. So I think it'll be like more easier. Like even the schools like you went to as a child, your middle school, elementary, high schools. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I want to pile onto that. So this it made me think of like something we used to do and at ECC, and we haven't done for a while, but it was really powerful. And maybe there's something there, at least with your content and you and the team. We used to run something called Crypto in Context. And so what we did is we partnered with a school teacher in the South Bronx, Carlos Acevedo, who's now got a job through that whole thing and is no longer a school teacher there. He's at Brave and helped put this whole Brave deal together with Zcash.
Oh wow.
But what we did is we went to the South Bronx and we met for 2 days. The first one was over a weekend for 2 days of kind of intensive study with, I think in that one, I don't know, we had 15 or so students, high school students, and brought in multiple speakers. And it was intended to be bi-directional education. So there was education of like learning what cryptocurrency is and that kind of thing. And then we had different speakers come in for different topics. So we had Gemini come in and talk about exchanges. We had, I think we had Flexa come in, is where we got to know the Flexa team to talk about payments and how that stuff might work. And they were very interactive sessions, so it allowed students to have, access to these experts and to give their feedback and their thoughts. And we ended up doing it. We did it a couple times in South Bronx. We did it. Where else were we in? We did it in Harlem with the university, and they were really incredibly powerful. We had community. We had not like the one in Harlem. We ended up having some people that were adults who heard about the sessions and wanted to participate as well. So they came and they were talking about their businesses and how they onboard other businesses into crypto within their communities. And they're part of these small business groups and things like that. So one of the challenges that we had with that was content. It just takes so much time and work to pull together the content to be able to present and share. And so at least this could be a fantastic resource if somebody wants to pick up that flag and run with it. We'd love to be able to support that kind of thing.
Hey, and if you go into the ZCub main channel, ZCub channel, just earlier today, this morning, some random person made a free to Z page, and it was basically a proposal to do local Zcash meetups. And so it's kind of like it's all coming together. We've got people in the community who want to do their own local meetings, and we've got a new workbook which teaches people not just about Zcash but about what money is in general. So yeah, looking good. Every Friday, right here at 4 p.m. UTC. please do
Yes,
join.
Squirrel.
Hey,
Yes, Squirrel. I want to get with you and dive in deeper on this.
sure.
Yeah, because
What do you mean
financial
by
literacy, like teaching people the understanding of crypto, um, is very serious. Like Zcash is like one of the most important things in the world right now, my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like just my personal opinion um is that we just shouldn't do CBDC, right? Like Bitcoin isn't great because there's just the potential that it could go very badly, but right now it kind of works. Okay, so you can use Lightning
Yeah.
Network, and there are still some things that Bitcoin is useful for, particularly like store of value. It kind of works with Bitcoin, um, but I think uh, just education away from CBDC is I'm happy with that. Hey Pio,
Okay, I
what's up?
understand.
Hello guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill.
Oh, okay. Thanks for inviting me. I was outside and the connection was bad. But in that way, when you talk about mass adoption, I think we need to talk about education too. I think it's the most important part because yes, you need to have people in the front lines teaching them, showing them as ZChub do today. But uh, it's not just about showing tools, but showing what is the behind of these tools, the real value, not monetary one, but what these two could bring to the people, like freedom, or privacy. And this is like a main topic or a mission that we from Privacy Met try to do every single video, every single post. Today we are attending in a local privacy event. It's inspired in the crypto party. Will be happening today here in Brazil, the crypto rave. So, but I'm trying to resume that the education needs to be uh, uh, you need to count when you develop a privacy project that your community needs to be part, and you need to have uh, people inside them to educate others, because in the end could be just a tool that anyone could use or not. Mass adoption relies, in my point of view, in education.
I agree. And there's so many different ways that you can educate people, right? So you were talking
Yeah.
about like in-person events. There is no doubt. I think in my mind, the best way to teach someone about something is for them to have it in their hands and use it. That's like the best way. Is
Yeah.
I'm sure we can all remember our first like crypto transaction, and like after that happened, you kind of gain some innate understanding of how it all works, right? There's some almost like a moment of revelation, like, oh wow, that's how a crypto transaction works. um and so giving people that opportunity, making that happen in as many different ways that we can think up, is the way forward. um yeah, like one of the interesting things that I've been thinking of in my mind is like Zcash apps. So in a few months, Zcash is going to be on Brave Wallet. Okay. So I don't know how many millions, like 90 million people are going to suddenly have access to shielded Zcash. But what are they going to do with it? Okay. So I'm what I hope to do is encourage, like we've got James Katz here who built the Dizzy bot. So in Discord, all the people, 27 people in the audience, Zekmek says, I actually think the best way to learn, even better than by doing, is by having to teach someone younger or less experienced how to do something you yourself are not that proficient at. Yeah. Well, teaching, yeah, they do say teaching is the best way of learning. Um, true. Maybe they're equally important. But yeah, so Brave is coming and people are going to have access to shielded Zcash. What are they going to do with it? How are they going to what will the impetus be for them to start making transactions, start using the network, find different counterparties that accept ZEC? So there's going to be this my first Zcash thing, maybe in the workbook itself, as they go through and answer questions. They can be something like zip321, where if they get a correct answer, they earn ZEC, like decentralist Dan's idea. Maybe another thing, there was the idea for a Zcash radio station. What if people are able to listen to Zcash radio and they can send in songs by paying maybe $2 in ZEC, and the shielded memo field contains the URL to the song that they'd like to play? Stuff like that, where people are interacting with the network. It doesn't have to be all security audited and like waterproof or whatever. But just as long as people are like figuring things out with the network, I think it would be good. How to play Peso Pluma on ZEC Radio. I don't know what that is.
Squirrel, don't worry about Peso Pluma.
What is that?
It's I don't know how to say. It's a urban music like reggaeton or something like that. I prefer segment music.
Yeah, should we get that going? We've got 9 minutes left. Should we
Yeah,
bring ZEC up?
we are going to go to another party, but I really love this meet. Reading the chat, I really like to be collaborations, links, people meeting. Is very powerful this meeting very often, and like the invitation that Dan make, I will go to take. It's very powerful.
Yes, and following what Squirrel was saying, I think that we as a community need to make people understand with my first Zcash, of course, but make them and help them to create businesses around Zcash, to help them to spend. Yeah, you have now the Brave wallet, but you gonna wanna to spend your Zcash, not just only buying T-shirts on Zach Hub, but also buying coffee, a lunch, and I don't know, digital products. I think has a potential to be developed on this side too.
And we have the developers who are in the community, right? That's the big thing. We've got
Yeah.
James Katz in here, who made Dizzy and who made the ZEC Faucet. I think Gorga as well. He's a developer. Triple Ubu has made like 2 games or something. I saw Snake and there's Pong. So you could deploy that to IPFS and kind of integrate some kind of ZEC payment to, insert coin to play a game, that type of thing. There are things we can do. Yes, Zekmek, I will bring you up.
Welcome, Sekmek.
Hi, how's it going?
Very cool.
Is it? Can anyone hear me when I'm talking now?
Yep.
Yes.